We got the first couple of reveals of Silver Petal Dragonflame, and we got a new card for the upcoming Majesty Lord Blaster Superior Trial deck. And today, we also got a brand new stride for the Premium Collection 2020, as this time they revealed Royal Paladin. I'm Mr. Time Leap, and you're watching Cardfight Update. Stand up! Vanguard! Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we got a bunch new reveals as the last couple of days Bushiroad start churning out a lot more cards to us, as we've got a lot of sets being released at the same time, as we got the upcoming new big booster set Silver Petal Dragonflame, but also the upcoming Superior Legend Trial deck, or whatever deck you want to call it, for Majesty Lord Blaster. And also on the premium side we got the new upcoming Premium Collection 2020, and just like last year, this is a time of hectic releases, as we're gonna see a lot of big cards back to back to back to back. So expect these upcoming Cardfight updates to be jam-packed with a lot of card reveals. So with that said, let's jump right into the new card reveals for Silver Petal Dragonflame, as these are on the milder sides of the spectrum for today. And we start off with a card for Oracle Think Tank, as they got a new Grid 2 Sentient Angel. And its ability is auto record circle. When placed, look at the 3 cards from the top of your deck and put them on the top of your deck in any order. So this card doesn't give you any advantage whatsoever, as you aren't drawing or you aren't putting them at the bottom. You just change the top 3 cards of your deck and that's about it. On the surface level, that doesn't really sound anything useful, as you're not really doing anything, but you can potentially force out a trigger that might not be going active for you. But by checking the top 3, you can potentially set up your drive check, your damage check, and your draw for next turn, depending if you can force your opponent to only deal you 1 damage. Or if you're going to draw 1 or 2 cards, you can exactly put out your draws the way that it makes things more sense, or you get more value out of your specific draws. So checking the top 3 can actually be very, very powerful, and depending on what type of build you play, you can benefit from this more than just your average build. And people in Premium immediately jumped the Gize bandwagon, as being able to see the top 3 can be huge for a Gize player, as it allows you to get to your triggers more efficiently and more effectively than the typically check top or check top 2 for the other skills that we got in the past. So this could be a very potential card for some builds, but it needs more to make it useful, as on its own, the value isn't there just yet. Then next up, we've got a new grade 2 for Kagero, which is Demonic Dragon Maid Sakura. And Sakura's ability is auto and Vanguard rearguard circle. When an attack hits a Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as this unit and retire it. So this is a free retire for Kagero, but it's on a hit, and it's also limited to only the column where this unit resides. So it's nice to have a free retire, but then again, being on hit, and it's also on a 9k body, and it's limited to the column, makes this probably an unusable card, as it has way too many restrictions for the payout it delivers. Especially that after it was placed onto the field, your opponent can just place its more important units on the other column, and then it doesn't have to worry about its effect. Also, if you write this thing, the only thing you can target is the booster behind the Vanguard, and some players don't actually have a booster in the early game, so yeah. Then the next card is a card for Link Joker, as we have this grade 2 Thas Taurus Dianalis, or how you are supposed to pronounce that. And its ability is continuous rearguard circle. If there is a total of 2 or more face down cards in any fighter's bind zone or circles, this unit gets power plus 10k. Alright, first off, let's analyze the skill, and then we go over what this skill text might entice. So if there are 2 or more face-down cards on the field or in the bind zone, whatever, it gets power plus 10k. That's very easy to fulfill, as with Messiah, you can lock a couple of cards of your own, or just Link Joker in general binds cards face down. So it's not that hard to attain this condition, have a powerful 20k beater, which can be nice for certain builds, but probably is just a budget alternatives to have a good solid beater in whatever build you're playing. However, the big thing this card stormed out in the community is that the fact that it states any fighters, bind zone, or circles. This implies your opponent's side can also have face down cards in their circles. So immediately people jump the lock mechanic is returning that you can lock your opponent's field beside locking its own field. Personally, I don't believe that that is necessarily the case. I think they just stated this effect in such a way that it can be utilized in premium as well. Because in premium, they already can lock. So this card has some leeway in normal premium shenanigans. So I think it's only for that reason why they stated in this particular wording of the skill, and not necessarily hinting towards the fact that we're going to get actual lock back in standard. It could be, but I'm more hinting at the fact that they made it a premium proof card. Then next up, we've got 2 new cards for Dimension Police. It's the only clan apparently that got 2 cards revealed to us. And we start off with a grade 2, which is interesting to say the least, as we have Dimensional Robo Die Dumper. And its abilities are continuous Vanguard Circle. All of your grade 3 units get shield plus 10k. So this is the same ability that Die Liner has, only now in the grade 2, meaning you'll get more value out of your grade 3s if you happen to have a hand cluttered with a lot of grade 3s in the early game, and now you can at least use them for shield. As if that happened before, you really couldn't do anything with them and you were stuck until you could ride into Die Liner. It is a very niche ability because you need to ride this unit and you need to have a lot of grade 3s to make it count. But probably if you don't have the excessive amount of grade 3s, you don't want to guard with them, as you rather want to call them to the field, as they are integral parts to your combo plays or whatever you want to try to do. So I'm not sure how powerful this skill actually is. And then it has a second ability that's Auto Vanguard Circle. When it attacks, you may have this unit get a power plus 10k until the end of battle. If it gets plus 10k, at the end of the battle, retire this unit. So this is somewhat similar to the other grade 2s that we got in the past. It could get an additional power gain. I believe we got Die Brave, the grade 2, that could also get 10k if our Vanguard was high enough, but that would stay on the field. This is basically the same thing, but it's easier to attain in the early game, but you lose a card for it. So I'm not sure if that actually is valid or that's what you want to do. So all things considered, I'm not sure if this is actually a good card. It doesn't really look to be like one that you actually want to play, as it feels very situational and underwhelming in what it can do. But depending on what the rest of the support, this could suddenly be very good, as we could have some reoccursion, or there is something with open rearguard circle, or there's something with retiring cards for Dimensional Police. Not really sure at this stage of the development of the set, so we have to wait and see for that. But a card that is really interesting for Dimensional Police and is already looking to be very useful is this grade 1 Dimensional Robo Die Gyro. And Gyro's ability is Auto and Guardian Circle. When placed, cost retire this unit, and one of your Vanguards gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So you guard with it, immediately remove it so you lose the 10k shield, but you give your Vanguard an additional 5k power for the rest of the turn. So meaning if you're up against a multi-attack clan, and all of those attacks are effectively a 5k shield guard, you can use this card from hand and guard against all those attacks. This card is situationally insane. But with that said, it's very situationally. If we're up in a Axle or a multi-attack heavy metal where the attacks are out of a lower number, which probably with one defensive trigger or one defensive trigger and then every attack is a 5k guard, if that is the case, then this card is bonkers good for Dimension Police and allows them to sustain in such a meta, especially with 4s already having the higher base power of 13k, meaning it makes your Vanguard an 18k, and if you hit a defensive trigger, that's 28k. That's really hard to overcome that with every single attack. So yeah, I think this could be a very powerful card if right, and if you have 2 in your hand, you probably use them and your opponent can basically say end turn. So could very well be a very solid staple card, or a card that would see multiple resurgences depending if the meta allows it to be playable. And of course, beside all these cards, every clan got their new starter revealed, and they all of course have the new skill text printed on them with the shield ticket and whatnot. And honestly, the artwork of these cards are looking pretty damn solid. So yeah, looking forward for other clans with these new starters, as the artwork is stepping up from what it already was. But these weren't of course the only reveals, as today in the live stream we got 2 new cards, both for Royal Paladin, and we started with the review for the Majesty Lord Blaster build, as they revealed Wingle Brave. And this grade 1 Wingle Brave is similar to its old counterpart, and yet is even better to some regard, as its ability is Auto Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. When it attacks or the attack boosted hits a Vanguard, look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 with Blaster in its card name from among them, and put this into your hand and shuffle your deck. So, to some extent, this is a combination of Wingle Brave and Wingle Youth. but then put into one card. And it's free, it's hit pressure, and it stays on the field. So if it's a booster behind your Vanguard will permanently swing in with this hit pressure. And that is pretty damn solid. For the Majesty Lord Blaster, this is ideal as it searches out your Blaster Dark, it searches out your Blaster Blade, and it searches out your Majesty Lord Blaster. The cards probably the entire deck revolves around, so that is really solid. And you can put it behind every single attack if you have multiple cards in your hand, and your opponent is forced to guard every single attack if they don't want to give you those potential free pluses. So this is pretty good for that build in its own regard. But then you can take it a step beyond and put that in potentially every type of Royal Paladin build that utilize Blaster Blade, or maybe a Blaster Dark, or maybe another Blaster, because you then have a potential searcher for that card. But if we crank it up to 11, this could be an ideal early game play for the Messianic Lord Blaster build, as you want to have as many blasters as possible, and this allows you to search out all those blasters. And because you check top 7 and you're running like all blaster cards, this probably always hits a card. And with the cards in hand, you can just pick out the one that you're missing and build up your field beforehand before you go into your great free turn. So this is pretty damn solid. And that combined with the already existing blaster support that we got in the previous set for the next stage extra booster set, which allows us to multi-attack with Messianic Lord Blaster, mind you, makes it a very solid build. But that isn't where the Blaster support or the Royal Paladin support ends, as if we jump into the premium side of things, we've got the new upcoming Stride to look forward to, as they also revealed the brand new Stride, which is Holy Dragon, Crystal Luster Dragon. And let me tell you guys, this Stride probably ushers in a new era where we're going to see more and more of these insane combo potential and endless potential cards like we've seen with Gastille in previous year and with Rock Dragon for Gear Chronicle in this set. As now Crystal Luster Dragon joins the ranks of these cards to open up the playing field for Royal Paladin, as its abilities are pretty good. As its first skill is Act on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, cost turn a card from your G-Zone face up, and until the end of turn, this unit gets all of the original abilities of one of your hard cards. So this is what I mean with the endless possibilities, as this is similar to Gastille, where it copies the abilities of one of the units, only Gastille chooses 2 cards from the deck and puts them into the soul. But it costs a counterblast. So the difference here is that Gastille has more options. It also can choose grade 2s and grade 1s if they want to, but mostly those don't have powerful Vanguard abilities, so you're mainly looking for the grade 3s. But the negative downside of Gastille is that first it costs you counterblast, so you're wasting resources before you actually get skills. And then if you don't have the cards in your deck anymore because you randomly soul charge them, or you draw on them, or they went to the damage zone, you're probably out of luck. This card needs to write the unit, so if you don't write the correct one, you're out of luck, but it doesn't cost you any resources, so you cannot be damage denied, and you don't have to sacrifice resources to even attain these skills. So that's basically the difference between the two. But this card has a second ability that allows him to be very threatening in Royal Paladin, as it has Continuous Vanguard Circle, Generation Break free. If you have 3 or more grade 2 or greater units, when your opponent would call from his or her hand to the Guardian Circle, he or she must call 3 or more at the same time. So it has the inherent Super Battle Dore skill in Royal Paladin, which can multi-attack. Yes. So this card, I'm nowhere near a Royal Paladin main whatsoever, so I'm definitely not certified to discuss all the potential combos and options and things available to this card. But I can at least highlight some easy things to digest so you have a better understanding of the exact power level of this card. First off, in this livestream, they revealed that you can combine this with Legion. You can go into Seeker, Thing Saver, Dragon, and it attains the Legion skill, it attains the Recent skill, and it attains the additional power skill, as it copies all the abilities of the Grade 3, because you picked the Grade 3, of course, if you are in Legion. Then you can basically Legion with this card with the Blaster Blade. So you have a Legion Vanguard, just like we've seen with Gastille Dominos that can do that. And you can then reset with Thing Saver's ability, and you can do all those shenanigans. But that's not the only thing. We can look at all the fast arrays, and probably you're mainly looking at either the Altmaul Striders, as the upside to this ability is you can write the old Altmaul cards, and you get your stride effect off, but then it copies its skills so you can also attain their GB2 skills. Because usually those GB2s were good, but you rather want to stride. Now you can pass on that GB2 skill onto the stride unit, which is actually pretty solid to some extent with particular alt-mal cards. But that's probably where the option stops for the old era of Royal Paladin. But then we can take a look at the new cards that were introduced in the V-Series, and we got a couple of interesting cards. A good example is Gancelot. We can copy the Gancelot ability to give our Blaster Blades drive checks, but now we can do that on the body of a Vanguard unit, and with the Generation Break free, put extra Super Battledore Guard Restrict on our Blaster Blades that come in with an extra drive check. That can be really annoying for your opponent to deal with, but we can also look further and take the Blaster approach to the next extremes, as we can put Majesty Lord Blaster onto his stride card. And with the previous support for the Blaster card, we can still multi-tag, but now we have triple drive, which means we have 3 chances of hitting the correct Blaster unit to attain the insane power and all the crits, and because they come in with the Super Battledore Restrict, PGing isn't as easy as just placing a card and discarding a card from hand. So that becomes suddenly a lot interesting and a lot more threatening, and with Ringo Brave in the mix, yes, that becomes really annoying for your opponent to deal with. But that's not the only thing that we can do. We also have the rare stride of the Aerial Steed Liberation set, which allows us to multi-tag with our units, as we have Decorious Knight Hengist, which can then multi-tag with their side columns. So we can swing in 3 times, then recall our field, and then swing in another 2 times. And all those 5 attacks will have the Super Battledore Restrict on top of that if we can generate the GB free ability. So that's also an option. But because its ability states that it needs 3 or more grade 2 or greater cards, it of course can be fulfilled with any deck, as you have a side column on the both sides, and you have your Vanguard unit, which already is a grade 4. But this can mean it can even work with the upcoming Alt-Mal VR Aerial Divine Knight Alt-Mal. You can keep your grade 2 board that you have all on the field that you basically made previous turn, and then all those units will get an additional 10k power, an additional 5k shield, an additional crit potentially, and then on top of that, you will swing in with all Super Battledore skills. And that's just with the generic standard support. Premium side of things for Royal Paladin, we've got all these multi-attackers for Brave. We've got this whole Blaster Blade, Flogel, crit, restand shenanigans going on in Premium with Alfred to generate a bunch of force markers. But all those multi-attack potential that Royals already possesses can then be utilized with this Super Battledore Restrict, where opponent basically is screwed as it needs to guard with 3 cards in hand every single time. That's in some regard a better Fides than we got at the end of the G era, because that forced your opponent to guard with 2 cards, now we're forcing our opponent to guard with 3 cards. This stride is looking tasty. So, like I said, I'm nowhere near certified to talk about its full capabilities, as I'm not a Royal Paladin main, but at least it's very understandable to see where its power level is, as you can copy any of the V-era grade 3s and transit them to a stride card that then also applies with the whole Battledore Guard Restrict on top of them if you can generate the GB free skill. But if we then combine it with all the multi-tech potential that Royal Paladin Premium already possesses, with the Blaster engine for Blaster Blade and Flogel, or with the whole Brave mechanic that we have with Slayman and whatnot, because the problem was with the Brave multi-techs that in some skills you need to have a Brave Vanguard, but not all strides have that. Because this card copies all the abilities from the hard card, means if you sit on the old Alt-Mal cards, they have the Brave skills, and those Brave skills will then pass on to this card. So all those rearguard abilities that need to have a Brave Vanguard card are then suddenly fulfilled. So I think all Royal Paladin mains are probably already going ham with the possibility of this card, and we can possibly see some insane combos and things all around the internet once they are done with their mad science and they are ready to unleash its full potential onto the world. But that's basically everything for me today. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of all the new cards revealed for Silver Petal Dragonflame, the new Majesty Lord Blaster deck, and of course the new Royal Paladin Stride for the Premium Collection 2020. The only cover card that's left to be revealed is probably the Genesis Stride. And if that card is gonna follow the pattern of all the cover cards, that Stride is probably gonna copy a skill of a unit and most likely allow us to play with the whole astral plane. So yeah, looking forward to those potential reveals. As always, this video has been brought to you by our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/VanguardInsider. You guys are amazing. If you do want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, then head over to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a Patreon today. But with that said, I'm Mr. Timeleap, and I see you guys in the next one!